I don't know, maybe I'm not destined to fly the A220. I was so close. I was at the gate. And not today. So maybe another day we'll fly on the A220. A few videos back during the introduction, I said we'd be flying on one of Air Canada's new A220s, when in reality we got an older A320. Oops. But I double checked, triple checked for today, and if everything goes like clockwork, we should be on the A220 for a flight to Toronto. And I also put in an upgrade request, so if things go in my favor, perhaps we'll be checking out the business class on the A220. Right now I'm starting in the southeast of Calgary, and I thought I'd come out to the bike path just to show you some of the lovely views of the mountains, the river, and the city. The summers here are absolutely phenomenal and a nice break from the heat of Tokyo. The airport's located in the northeast of the city, so come along, let's jump on the Deerfoot, let's hightail it up to Calgary International Airport as we make our way from A to B. Well, today turned out to be an interesting travel day, with a few curveballs thrown my way. I made my way up to the northeast to the airport. In Calgary, the car is going to be your friend, but should you find yourself without one, there are a few public transit options to get yourself to the C train or downtown. Anyway, 25 minutes later and we find ourselves outside of the terminal where Air Canada check-in can be found. It was mid-morning now, and the check-in area was not terribly busy at all. And like my previous flight, check-in and baggage drop-off took no more than 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. At this time, my upgrade request had not been approved, so once again, we find ourselves on the waiting list. I made my way through the security in the B section. Post security, you'll cross the YYC Link shuttle, which connects the concourses. Our gate is in Concourse A, but with some time to kill, I headed to Concourse C. I would advise to get through security as quickly as possible before making any purchases, especially since drinks or liquids can't be brought through security. One thing this airport does well is the distribution of restaurants and shops throughout the concourse, and there's a healthy selection to choose from. And this selection is one of the best you'll find in Canada, in my opinion. I came to Concourse C with a more defined reason, however, and that is of course to pay a visit to YYC's Maple Leaf Lounge. I gained access with my status with Air Canada, so this visit was not tied with my ticket in any way. If you're able to access this lounge, it certainly is a worthwhile stop. It's a much more comfortable, more visually appealing than the domestic lounge in Vancouver, which we visited a few videos back. There's a wide variety of seating to choose from, and a small business area for those wishing to be productive. The views from outside are not bad either, but more favorable when there isn't construction. Perhaps the main attraction of any lounge is the food and drinks, and this lounge does a great job in this aspect. There is a nice healthy selection. The cold offerings included wraps, pasta salads, fruits, vegetables, and more. However, I was particularly drawn to the hot menu, and the sliders sizzling away was an easy choice. My first meal was accompanied by a local draft. My flight was now delayed by 45 minutes, now scheduled for 3:15. But by enjoying the lounge and not having a connecting flight, this was not a huge problem. Sadly, to pass the time, I had to enjoy seconds and maybe thirds, and to finish it all off with dessert, just to be safe. After all, I was supposed to be flying on the A220, and the thought that I would get that upgrade was slowly drifting away. I arrived at a rather crowded gate A22 at about 2:30, and boarding had yet to commence. And there it is, the A220. The only thing between me and that plane is one scan of my boarding pass. We are so close. but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Alright, today continues to be interesting. I didn't get the upgrade for this flight, but they called me up to the podium and they said that this flight's overbooked. Would you want to take the next flight? And I said, alright, I have no connecting flights or I'm not in a rush, so I can definitely help them out. So what they did is they put me on the next flight, which leaves at 6 o'clock. It boards at 5 o'clock in about less than 2 hours. And so they upgrade me to business class for free, and it doesn't count against my credits for this upgrade, which is awesome. And it's on the Boeing Dreamliner, so it's going to be a lie flat seat. And with the business class ticket, I can go back to the lounge for a little bit. So I don't know, maybe I'm not destined to fly the A220. I was so close. I was at the gate, and and not today. So maybe another day we'll fly on the A220. Back we go for the second visit of the day. With my initial flight delayed, it was now only about 2 hours before boarding would start for my new flight. This shorter visit, I just hung out at the bar top to recharge my batteries and to organize my bag. Nothing too exciting. Alright, so that's the second lounge stop of the day, and just had a quick coffee. It was only about an hour, and we're off to gate B37. So you can either take the little buggy thing or you can just walk it over, and it's just as fast, really. And as I make my way to the gate, I'll take a moment to invite new viewers to subscribe for continued aviation and travel related content. And you can always catch me on Twitter, where I post throughout my travel days. I arrived at an unimpressive gate B37, not the most ideal gate to view our aircraft. I was able to take a quick picture during boarding, and we can see that this is a 777, not a Dreamliner, which I had initially been told at the previous gate a few hours prior. Thank you. Yeah. Are you a 4?
Yeah.
I'm 6. I'm behind you. Today we'll be in seat K for our flight over to Toronto. The seat has a water bottle, menu, and bedding present, along with their noise-canceling headphones, but I didn't use them. I always just use my own. I was greeted by the cabin attendant, and the menu order was taken prior to pushback. Air Canada has 18 of these Boeing 777-300 extended range aircraft, currently the largest aircraft in Air Canada's fleet. This particular plane is 14 years old, delivered back in 2008. There are 2 layouts for the 777s, and this particular one has 400 seats over the 3 classes. The pods in business class have a lie-flat length of 203 centimeters or 6 feet 7 inches, and there's 10 lavatories located throughout the aircraft. Our 4-hour flight has an interesting flight path, taking us southeast over the States for the majority of the trip, before crossing back into Canada. The business class cabin is set in a 1-2-1 reverse herringbone seating configuration in a light gray color scheme with red accents under the seat number, and LED lighting. Without anyone behind, I think 7A or 7K provides a bit more space. however yields one less window. In this particular aircraft, there are 7 rows in the front business class cabin and 4 rows in the smaller cabin behind. The seats extend fully flat, and we'll check out this feature after dinner. Beside the seat, there's a reading light. The armrest can be lowered, and there's a bit of space below it. In front, there's the table and 3 monitors, the main screen, the one on the remote, and the one off to the side for seat functions and service. The storage bin has all the USB, headphones, and electrical connections, and I do like the recessed lip of the storage bin, so your cables don't get crushed while the lid is closed. The table pulls down and has several sturdy positions. With the armrest down, you can easily slide in and out of your seat while the table is extended. Below on the side is a pocket with a safety card and literature, and you can see there's also a light down in the footwell. And of course, above you have the air control. Overall, not a too shabby way to cross the country. Although it only seems like a few minutes in YouTube time, it was about 6 hours since I last ate in the lounge, so I was looking forward to dinner. There were several options for the main course, and once again the order was taken prior to us leaving the gate. I started with a Caesar, so cheers to being back in the sky and enjoying a lie-flat seat for the first time. The appetizer consisted of smoked tuna, kale salad, roast cauliflower, potato salad, and a bread roll. The highlight was definitely the tuna and salad, and the ginger dressing was spot on, though I felt the potato salad was under-seasoned. For the main course, I went with the salmon, as fish tends to be a hit-or-miss dish on a plane, and again, I was impressed with it. The salmon was flavorful, not overcooked, and the risotto was creamy, well-seasoned. Lovely. And I ended it all off with a cheese plate and a glass of sparkling wine because why not? The 777s do have Wi-Fi should you wish to use it, and there's several plans to choose from, though I was perfectly content with enjoying what the business class had to offer. The IFE on the 777s is quick, bright, and responsive, and a welcome relief compared to my last 2 flights. I started by watching Catch Me If You Can. Great movie. The remote is also quick and easy to use, and you have the option of watching on the smallest screen too. When seated, I felt the touchscreen was easier to interact with, but when the seat is reclined, the remote will be the best bet. To keep an eye on where we are, I kept the remote on the moving map for the majority of the trip. I visited the lavatory at the front of the aircraft. It was nice and clean and had some moisturizer in addition to soap, and the silhouette of the maple leaf is a nice touch. After the meal service, the cabin lights were dimmed and I turned down the bed to get some rest as it was a pretty long day. With 6 feet 7-inch length, the bed is comfortable and roomy for someone my size. It does taper at the end, so I tried my best not to accidentally whack the panel and disrupt the guest in 5K. Nonetheless, I was able to relax and close my eyes for about 45 minutes. I woke up as we were crossing into Ontario from Michigan. By now the sun had set, and the cabin lights were starting to brighten up as we prepared for landing. And I really enjoy the LED lighting on planes. It's just so much more relaxing compared to the fluorescent lights, especially during the late night flights. And while we continue our descent, I was able to catch a few flashes of lightning off Lake Ontario from the air, something you don't see every day. Overall, this was a very, very long day, arriving close to midnight Eastern Time, but also very enjoyable. This was my first time flying in a lie flat seat, and it definitely is a relaxing, elevated experience. Even on a 4-hour flight like this, you have enough time to enjoy the meal, watch a movie or two, and get some rest, and to disconnect from the outside world. If you're doing a red eye, you'll be able to wake up on the East Coast, relaxed, and ready for your day. There's no doubt there's a premium cost to flying business class, but if you can get it with points or snag a ticket while on sale, it's not a bad deal. The cost of this one-way flight came out to $292 for my initial economy seat. With offering up my seat, all I had to do was wait 2 extra hours. And 2 extra hours for a lie flat seat is a steal of a deal. Alright, well that was a great flight. Not the aircraft that was on the schedule in the morning, but that's one of the reasons, I love traveling. You kind of never know what's going to go your way. Sometimes you'll get a little upgrade like that, and that was a nice little treat. And now I got to go down here and find my bag in this. Let me know what you thought about Air Canada's 777 domestic business class. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.